Good day or good evening, whatever space time it is that you're watching this video. Hey y'all, as I was setting up, as per usual, started hearing some things from Spirit. Spirit started talking about everything coming together. Everything is coming together. And then everything has come together. The only thing that is missing is the oil. And the reason why I say that is because I was being shown somebody applying oil to wheels or like gears. And after I was shown that, I was told that the only thing that is missing after it all coming together is the oil in order to make the gears turn without friction, to allow free movement. And so this could be very philosophical, or this could be literal. I have no idea. But I was drawn to my starseed oracles to start this message off with and see what we have coming out here for the collective at this time. We have I Remember, Soul Plan, the Fated Life versus the Destiny Life. And then we have Big Picture Thinking, Pleiades Energy, Visionary, Inspired Ideas. There's something about remembering, I mean, obviously, with the I Remember, but like, it was brought on by activating your bigger picture thinking. Like, seeing the picture from a different viewpoint, a different perspective, is what then reminded you of whatever your mission is, whatever this like well-oiled machine is. Spirit keeps referring to the well-oiled machine and oiling the gears in order to maintain movement without resistance. And then at the bottom we have baby steps, action, following your intuition before it makes sense. These three definitely are kind of colliding with one another. Collider. Isn't that some other kind of like machinery? Oh, my mind went over to CERN for a minute as well. The fact that they turned it off for 4 years. I don't know if that applies to this or not. But whatever this thing is that's being referenced to right now, it required a lot of baby stepping. It required a lot of tiny little steps to get everything to come together properly. Making intuitive decisions before anything makes sense. And just knowing that it's all going to come together. There's something about having visions of something that activated a memory of how to then take the steps necessary in order to create it once again. And I just heard the word cryo chamber and cryogenics. And I know that is like the process of freezing stuff, like cells or embryos, things like that, stem cells. It's like a preservation, something being preserved that is now thawing out so that it can be used, so it can be usable. Let's see, where do we want to go next, Spirit? I'm being drawn to the Tarot of the Pyramids. Let's go ahead and get some of these out here to see if we can get a little bit more clarity as to what Spirit is speaking about currently. Oh, they said you pushed it down. Introspection. Number 23. I feel like that's significant here. And on the split, I just split the deck, and we have realism. Introspection versus realism. I remember big picture thinking. I took baby steps. With introspection, I understood the things that could become real, the things that could become possible with the preservation of what was once forgotten, is what I'm hearing. There's kind of like this mixture of material, like industrial things, like the well-oiled machine, that's kind of mixing with the spiritual aspects here. The fact that introspection, it leads one to kind of remember who they are in a way, to come into a sort of like consciousness evolution. And with the realism card, what it really speaks about within this deck is to not handicap oneself in believing in a future that does not exist, getting real with yourself, but through this introspection, having full awareness that if it can be imagined, it can become real as well. And after I said that, my mind is being taken back to that drop of oil being applied to the gears. Something about lubricating the gears so that they can spin freely, so they can move freely without restriction, like a well-oiled machine. Go ahead and grab some tarot and see if we can look into this concept a little further. The only thing that's missing is the oil. We have Justice, and we have Page of Pentacles in reverse. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the Three of Wands coming into possibilities. That's that big picture thinking as well. Being able to take a gaze upon the waters and seeing the reflection. There's something about the reflection in the water and realizing that the reflection in the water is not what's real, but it's what is casting the reflection that holds solidity. Remember, Simba, is what I just heard. It's taking me back to that part of the movie where Simba had looked into the waters and saw his own reflection, much like this card as well, and how it kind of transformed into like his father in the reflection, kind of like seeing himself transform into that of what was in the past, transforming into his father, taking over the pride that could be leading us back to that like preservation, like the cryogenics, the cryogenic chamber. It also kind of leads me over to things that have been said about certain deities as well. But I'm not feeling like I should go there with this. But with the Page of Pentacles in reverse, it speaks of like an immaturity, a time of immaturity, a time of, missed chances because of the lack of knowledge. Naivety is the word I was looking for there. Also, a little bit of a lack of motivation. But this was somehow brought to balance here with the Justice coming out. There was a balance that was reached in this energy. And it was something that had triggered this big picture thinking and this remembrance. And I'm seeing all these little baby steps walking all the way up to the cliff's edge. And look at that with the Three of Wands right here. It's like a zoomed in picture of this person here at the threshold of possibility, of what can be real, what can be brought together when certain ideas of creation are remembered. Forgotten plans are remembered. There's still this element of there's one thing missing, and that is the oil to help the machine work and run properly and smoothly. So what is it that they're missing. Yeah, see, we've got the moon and the Page of Cups. There's something hidden. There's something hidden, obviously. What is the oil? What is the last ingredient, so to speak? What is the last thing that is not made of metal, that is of a different substance, that needs to be added to the machine for it to work? Something to do with the emotions of it all. The Page of Cups. Exploring new emotions, exploring how this remembrance is making you feel, and allowing the inspiration to flow through you. Figuring out a master plan, I just heard, of where to set up, is what I'm hearing as I'm looking at the Three of Wands. It's like having a well-oiled machine and not really understanding where to place it. Interesting. And at the bottom we have Page of Swords. Lots of new energy. Having a beginner's mindset. There's something to that. It's almost as if the beginner's mindset is the oil. Looking at an old machine with new eyeballs. That's what I heard. Having a new lens to look through to the machine. I still have yet to know what this machine is that Spirit's referring to, but Spirit is often very cryptic in that nature because I'm not always meant to know exactly what I'm talking about. But that can also be related to that preservation as well. This could be like working with and through your own reincarnations, working on something lifetime after lifetime to get it perfected up until the point where you almost need a new lens to look through in order to get it operational. There's something here with the emotions as well, in regards to it being this like lubricating oil to keep the balance in the machine working, which is why I said it also has a very metaphysical vibe to it. It's not just something about an object in the material realms. Very well could be also speaking of like Kundalini energy rising, that spinal fluid rising up through the spine into the cerebral cortex. Bodies, the vessels, are often referred to as biochemical machines. That one thing missing is the oil. It's that Kundalini like activation kind of energy. And I just heard bubbling up to the surface to get all the gears going, like the neurons in the brain, leading you into remembering even more. This reading has a very like circular motion, like full circles within it. Everything leads back to itself, kind of like the Ouroboros, for example. So in that manner, maybe Spirit is just talking about someone becoming their own well-oiled machine. And perhaps you gazing out and trying to figure out where to place the machine could be speaking about maybe trying to make a decision on where to move or where to go, where to place yourself after all of this big picture thinking took place, all the while trying to maintain a more realistic idea, not allowing, the big picture thinking to get too unobtainable. Spirit's leading me back to, once again, full circle moment here within this reading, back to the Starseed Oracles. And they're telling me that there is one specific message to top all of this off with. It can be read from the book, is what I'm hearing. So let's go ahead and do that. I felt the energy of that card specifically. We have Breath of the Cosmos. My will to thy will, micromanaging the universe. And I'm just going to go ahead and read straight from the book here. When we rely only on our own will, we're micromanaging the universe and resisting the natural flow of life. Interesting. We're not trusting the mysterious breath of life. We're rejecting the great cosmic intelligence and relying instead on our personal strength. When we do this, we find ourselves attempting to bend things to our own will. We spend our time forcing, pushing, and living from a space of trying to. Everyone around us can feel it, and the universe can too. You're being called to stop micromanaging the universe and trust the breath of life, to surrender the greater will that God has for you, to move from my will to thy will. When you surrender to the greater will of life, you begin dancing with the rest of life. When you bow to the great mystery and say, please use me, please show me the way, little by little, you find yourself living your most fulfilling and authentic life. When you surrender your personal will, when you relinquish control and release the way you think things should be and surrender to the greater will of the universe, you find yourself being led. You begin breathing the breath of life. And that's that missing oil. That's why I said, wow, interesting there at the beginning. Because what's missing here really is the surrender to what is already written in the plan, to allow it to happen. The allowance is what is necessary to become this proverbial oil of the machine, allowing what is to come, so to speak, instead of holding it within the confines of what you believe it should look like, is what I'm hearing. Kind of like a call to widen the perspective even more and allowing things to happen the way they need to happen in order for this sort of like mechanism to work like a well-oiled machine rather than feeling like rusty gears trying to turn and having all this resistance. And so there is a call to kind of surrender and go with the flow more rather than trying to be a micromanager and a micro planner. Kind of like taking the leap of faith, like the Fool almost. This Three of Wands needs to turn into the Fool and allow the universe to kind of put everything in place through the baby steps that you're taking, and to continue to allow these baby steps up the ladder, I heard, to get you to higher places. And it's almost kind of like a message from the ancestors as well, with that preservation, like the cryogenics and all that, bringing through things from the lineage and bringing new awareness and a new lens to look through for the energy of your ancestors as well, so that the legacy can carry through and carry on into the new, is what I heard with that. And that's all I'm getting off of the cards for today. Thank you all so much for allowing the space for this message to come through at this time. And until next time, I love you. Bye.